There comes a moment, quiet and almost imperceptible, when the world around you continues spinning as usual, yet something deep within you has shifted. You can't quite name it, and no one around you seems to notice, but you feel it, like a whisper that brushes against your soul, soft as a feather yet heavy with meaning. It doesn't begin with fireworks or grand signs. Often, it starts in silence, in the ache of missing someone you've never met, in the strange certainty that somewhere, out there, another heart is beating in rhythm with yours, a familiar presence in an unfamiliar absence. You try to explain it, but how do you describe the echo of a voice you've only ever heard in dreams? Or the way your chest tightens when a specific song plays, though it holds no memory, only a feeling? This is not imagination. It is recognition. Like an ancient bell ringing far beneath the surface of your being, this silent calling stirs something sacred. It bypasses logic. It doesn't ask for proof. It simply is a pull, a knowing, as if a part of you is trying to return home. Some call it destiny, others call it madness. But those who felt it know it's neither. It's the soul remembering a bond that time and space cannot erase. And no matter how far you've wandered, no matter how buried the truth has become beneath the noise of daily life, the soul never forgets. You begin to notice signs, repeating numbers, uncanny synchronicities, a stranger's eyes that feel like déjà vu. All of it seems to whisper the same message. You are not alone. Someone out there mirrors your fire. Someone you haven't met in this life, but whose essence dances through your dreams. The silent calling doesn't always make sense. It isn't loud or demanding. It won't shake you like thunder, but it will seep into your bones like rain after drought. It will ask you to remember, not with your mind, but with your soul. This is the beginning of the twin flame journey. A journey not towards someone else, but back into the truth of who you are. And that truth begins when you listen to the stillness, to the pull, to the part of you that already knows. Because when something inside you knows, it's not your mind imagining, it's your soul awakening. There is a love that doesn't arrive with explanations. It doesn't follow timelines or logic. It appears in your life like a reflection in water, sudden, still, and strangely familiar. You don't fall into it the way you fall into ordinary love. You recognize it, and the moment you do, it changes everything. Twin flames are not just lovers, not just friends. They are something deeper, something older. Two souls that began as one, created from the same spark, now walking the earth in separate bodies, until the moment they find each other again. That's why it feels so intense. That's why it doesn't make sense. Because it wasn't meant to make sense. It was meant to wake you up. When you meet your twin flame, it's like looking into a mirror that reflects not only your light, but also your shadows. You see the parts of yourself you've hidden. You feel things you thought were long buried. And more than anything, you feel seen. Completely. Maybe for the first time in your life. But this kind of connection doesn't come to comfort you. It comes to challenge you. It comes to burn through everything you thought you knew about love. That ache in your chest, that magnetic pull, that unshakable bond. It's not confusion. It's the soul recognizing itself. You may feel overwhelmed, even frightened, because how can someone stir so much inside you so quickly without warning? But your soul has no concept of time. It doesn't care how long you've known this person. It only cares that you remember. Twin flame love isn't about time. It's about truth. You feel what you feel because your soul is being activated. Your wounds are rising to the surface, not to harm you, but to heal you. Your emotions intensify, your intuition sharpens, and your sense of normal begins to fall apart. This is not a breakdown. It's a breakthrough. The love between twin flames isn't ordinary, because it's not just about romance. It's about evolution. It's a spiritual contract, one that says, I will help you grow, even if it hurts. I will be your mirror, even if you don't always like what you see. And yes, it hurts sometimes, because you're not just loving them, you're confronting yourself. Every fear, every insecurity, every longing you've ever silenced. Twin flames stir the soul until it cannot sleep through life anymore. But in that fire, something beautiful happens. You begin to rise. You begin to shed the masks you once thought you needed. You begin to understand that love is not possession or comfort or certainty. It is freedom. And no matter where your twin flame journey takes you, together or apart, you are never the same again. You feel what you feel because something ancient within you is waking up. Because this connection was written in the stars long before you were born. Because even if the world around you doesn't understand, your heart does. This is not an ordinary love story. It is a soul agreement, a path to remembering who you truly are. And in that remembering, everything begins. There are words the mouth will never speak, but the soul whispers them all the time. Twin flame telepathy is not a fantasy. It's not imagination or wishful thinking. It is the quiet language of energy, the conversation that happens in silence, across miles, across time, and sometimes even across lifetimes. You don't need a phone. You don't need to speak. You just feel, and somehow, they feel it too. This kind of communication begins long before words. It begins in the stillness of your heart, in the space between breaths. You think of them out of nowhere, and they text. You feel a sudden wave of sadness, and later find out they were in pain. A song plays, and it feels like a message only you were meant to hear. Coincidence? Not at all. It's the soul's way of speaking. Twin flames are energetically connected, not metaphorically, but literally. Like two sides of the same flame, their energies are always in motion, always exchanging, and when one shifts, the other senses it instantly. That's why you dream of them without reason. That's why their presence lingers in your mind without trying. Telepathy between twin flames isn't always loud. Most of the time, it comes softly. In a sudden emotion, an image in your mind, a memory that doesn't belong to you. It's not spoken, it's known. You receive it in the body, in the heart, in the gut. Sometimes it's a surge of peace for no reason at all. Other times, it's a cry you can't explain. This kind of bond forms naturally, often after a spiritual awakening, a heart opening, or the ignition of kundalini energy. The moment your soul recognizes its counterpart, a channel opens, one that bypasses logic and flows through the heart. You may wonder, am I making this up? But your soul knows the difference between imagination and connection. The body doesn't lie. When you suddenly feel warmth in your chest or pressure in your third eye, when you hear their voice in your heart without speaking, those are signals. Not signs of madness, but signs of remembering. Twin flame telepathy teaches you to trust what can't be seen, to believe in the invisible threads that bind us beyond explanation. And it asks you to listen, not just with your ears, but with your whole being. You don't have to force this connection. It exists, even in silence, even in separation, even in distance. The energy of love has no borders, and the deeper you go into your own healing, the clearer this silent language becomes, because the soul has always known how to speak. It was only waiting for you to remember how to hear. Sometimes, it's not the words we speak that reveal the truth. It's the quiet knowing that lives between moments. When you're in telepathic communication with your twin flame, you feel it in ways that defy logic. It's not about hearing voices or seeing visions. It's about the soul reaching across distance, sending signals that only the heart can translate. One of the clearest signs is emotional mirroring. Out of nowhere, you feel a wave of joy, sadness, anxiety, or peace. And you know it's not yours. It doesn't match your day, your thoughts, or your environment. That's because it isn't coming from you. It's your twin, feeling something powerful, and that energy has crossed into your field. The bond between you acts like a bridge, and emotions travel freely across it. Then, there are the sudden thoughts and inner conversations. You might be cooking, walking, or resting, and without warning, their voice appears in your mind, gentle, loving, familiar. It's not imagined. It's a soul echo. It feels like they're speaking from somewhere beyond the veil, yet closer than your own breath. You may even find yourself answering back instinctively, as if you're both part of a silent dialogue that never truly stopped. Another sign is vivid dreams and shared visions. You meet them in dreams, and it feels more real than waking life. Sometimes, you both have the same dream on the same night. Other times, you dream of them during a moment they were thinking of you. These aren't ordinary dreams. They carry messages, healing, and a deep sense of reunion. Your souls are meeting in the space where time doesn't exist. There's also the intuitive knowing. You just know when something is happening in their life. A shift, a change, a breakthrough. You can't explain how, you just feel it. Later, you might get confirmation, a message, a post, a conversation, and there it is. What you felt was true. The connection is alive and real. Physical sensations are common too. You might feel a sudden warmth in your heart, a pressure on your third eye, or a tingling sensation along your spine. It can happen when they're thinking of you, when they're missing you, or when they're in distress. The body becomes a receiver of energy, translating love into sensation. And finally, there's the undeniable synchronicity, seeing their name, hearing your song, noticing repeating numbers like 1111 or 222 at the exact moment they cross your mind. The universe becomes a messenger, echoing the energy between you both. These signs aren't coincidences. They're confirmations, reminders that you are not imagining things. You are experiencing something rare and sacred. Because telepathy between twin flames isn't about magic tricks or psychic powers. It's about the soul remembering that it was never separate. There is a fire that sleeps within you, coiled at the base of your spine, quiet and patient, like a serpent waiting for the moment you are ready to remember who you are. This fire is called kundalini, and when it awakens, everything changes. For many twin flames, the moment they meet, or even just feel the presence of the other, the kundalini begins to stir. It is not awakened by force, but by recognition, as if the soul suddenly recalls its divine origin, and the body can no longer remain asleep. This awakening isn't loud at first. It's subtle. A deep pulse in the spine, a strange pressure in the head, a flutter in the heart. You begin to feel more. Everything is heightened. Your emotions, your senses, your intuition. It's as though a new layer of reality has been peeled back, and now you see with the eyes of the soul. And with this comes the silent communication. The kundalini doesn't just open the body, it opens the energetic channels, clearing the path for the sacred connection between twin flames to flow freely. It activates the chakras, especially the heart, the third eye, and the crown. And through these centers, the soul begins to speak. You don't need words to connect. You simply are connected. You feel them before they reach out. You hear their thoughts like soft ripples in your mind. You sense their energy, warm, familiar, magnetic. Sometimes you'll feel waves of love pouring into your heart from nowhere. Or you'll suddenly know what they're going through, as if your soul stood beside theirs for a moment in stillness. Kundalini makes this possible because it strips away the noise. It dissolves the illusions of separation. It invites you into a new level of consciousness where love doesn't need form and truth doesn't need sound. But this awakening also asks for surrender. As the energy rises, it brings up everything that no longer serves your soul: old wounds, buried emotions, forgotten pain. It may feel intense, overwhelming, confusing, but it is necessary. Because for the channel to be clear, the heart must be honest, transparent, unafraid. You begin to understand that true communication isn't just about messages. It's about presence, about resonance, about feeling someone in your soul and knowing they feel you too, even if no words are spoken. Kundalini opens the gateway for this kind of communion, not forced, not imagined, but real, alive, sacred. And once this energy awakens, you can never go back to sleep. The silence between you and your twin flame becomes sacred space, a space where love travels without effort, where understanding arrives without explanation. Because when the soul awakens, it remembers its first language: stillness, energy, truth, love. Not all silence is peace. In the twin flame journey, the deepest silence can be the loudest echo of all. One day, the connection feels alive, vibrant, electric, undeniable. And then, without warning, everything goes quiet. The warmth fades, the signs stop, and you're left wondering, was it ever real? This is one of the hardest parts of the telepathic bond: the silence. When your soul has tasted that kind of connection, absence feels like a wound. You reach out with your heart and feel nothing. The dreams stop. The energy feels blocked. Doubt creeps in like a shadow. Did I imagine everything? Did they leave me? But here's the truth. Silence doesn't mean separation. It often means transformation. In many twin flame journeys, these quiet phases are not punishments. They are spiritual pauses, moments designed for inner growth. The soul is wise. It knows when it's time to turn inward. Sometimes one or both twins need to retreat to heal, to face themselves, to learn how to stand in their own light before returning to the shared flame. And yes, there are blocks, emotional wounds, past traumas, fear of vulnerability, resistance to the intensity of the connection. These can all interfere with the flow of telepathic energy. When one twin resists, the energy contracts. When one suppresses emotion, the communication becomes clouded. But even in these blocked moments, something deeper is at work. This connection exists to teach, to refine, to awaken. The silences force you to trust yourself. The blocks invite you to heal. The unanswered questions push you toward your own soul. And in doing so, you grow stronger, wiser, freer. It's not about always feeling them. It's about always returning to yourself. The twin flame bond is not here to save you. It's here to reveal you, to remind you of your wholeness, even when the connection feels distant. The love is still there. Quiet perhaps, hidden maybe, but never gone. Because true telepathy isn't just about hearing them. It's about learning to hear your own soul first. Telepathy between twin flames is not something you control, it's something you nurture. Like a sacred garden, it grows with intention, stillness, and love. The more you connect with yourself, the clearer the channel becomes between you and your divine counterpart. This isn't about force, it's about presence. The first and most important practice is stillness. In a world of constant noise, silence becomes your sanctuary. Take time each day to sit in quiet. Close your eyes, breathe, allow your thoughts to settle like dust on the floor. In this space, your heart speaks louder, and often that's when you begin to feel them, not in a dramatic voice or vision, but in the soft presence that fills the room when your mind is at rest. Meditation is one of the most powerful tools to activate and strengthen your telepathic bond. You don't need anything fancy, just your breath and your intention. Visualize your twin flame, feel their energy. Imagine a golden thread connecting your heart to theirs. No pressure, no expectations, just trust. In that sacred space, send love, send peace, and open yourself to receive the same. Another powerful practice is journaling. Telepathy doesn't always come in loud messages. It often comes in subtle thoughts or feelings. Write them down. The sudden emotion you felt this morning, the image that appeared in your mind, the dream you can't forget. Over time, you'll start to see patterns, messages, clarity. Your journal becomes a mirror of the invisible conversation happening between your souls. Affirmations and intentions also create resonance. Speak them aloud. I am open to clear and loving communication with my twin flame. Our connection is guided, protected, and sacred. The spoken word carries energy. It sends a vibration into the universe, and your twin, no matter how far, feels that frequency. One of the most underestimated practices is self-love. The more connected you are to yourself, the stronger the bond with your twin. Because in truth, they are not separate from you. As you heal your wounds, they feel it. As you forgive yourself, you release pressure from the connection. As you become more whole, the communication becomes more pure, less desperate, more divine. Creative expression can also be a bridge. Music, painting, dance, poetry. These are soul languages. Sometimes your twin will feel you through the sound of your song, the shape of your art, the rhythm of your movement. It's not about being perfect. It's about being real. And finally, trust in Kaken dream space. Before sleeping, place your hand over your heart. Call their soul gently. Meet me in the dream, you might whisper. Leave a space in your consciousness for them to enter. And when you wake, take note of what you felt, saw, or heard. The dream world is sacred ground for twin flame communication. Remember, telepathy isn't a skill you master, it's a bond you remember. There is no rush, no test, just a returning to the truth that was always there. You are connected, not by chance, but by eternity. And the more you listen with your heart, the more clearly you'll hear their soul whispering back. Telepathy between twin flames is beautiful, mysterious, and deeply affirming. But it is not the destination. It is the doorway, a glimpse, a spark, a reminder that something far greater is unfolding beneath the surface of your life. At first, the silent messages and shared feelings feel like magic, and in many ways they are. They awaken your heart, they stir your soul, they show you that love is not limited by time, space, or logic. But soon, you begin to sense there is more, so much more. Telepathy is only the beginning, because the true purpose of the twin flame connection is awakening. You were never meant to stop at spiritual communication. You were meant to rise, to evolve, to become more fully yourself. The telepathic bond is just one of the ways your soul shakes you awake. It's the nudge that says, you're not alone. You're not broken. You're being called. Called to heal. Called to serve. Called to love without condition. This connection leads you inward, where the true transformation begins. It invites you to confront your shadows, your fears, your doubts, not as punishment, but as preparation. Because your mission is not just to love your twin flame, it is to become the light you were always meant to be. Twin flame telepathy teaches you to listen beyond words, but soon it teaches you something deeper. How to live from your soul. How to walk through life guided by intuition, trust, and divine alignment. It shows you that you are never separate, not from your twin, and not from the universe. Together or apart, the bond between you has a higher purpose. You're here to raise the vibration of love on this planet, not by being perfect, but by being true, by awakening to your purpose and walking your path with courage. So yes, cherish the signs, the dreams, the silent messages, but don't cling to them, because this journey is not about holding on, it's about becoming. Becoming whole, becoming conscious, becoming love itself. And in the end, you'll see, the real gift was never just the telepathy. It was the way it led you back home to your soul. If this message stirred something deep within you, if you felt the silent pull of your twin flame or the whisper of a love beyond words, don't walk this path alone. Subscribe for more soulful guidance, spiritual insights, and powerful reminders that you're never truly separate. Comment below. Have you experienced telepathy with your twin flame? Let's grow this sacred community together. Turn on notifications so you never miss the next step on your journey back to yourself. You're not just watching a video, you're remembering who you are.